Okay, awesome. So I'm so excited, obviously, to have Doug here on our call. So I won't take too long because I know he will talk a lot. And we'll have so many great questions for him. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I know you, Doug. So without further ado, this is Doug Moss, our Senior Director here in the West. Phenomenal leader. He works with works with the 6-star diamonds and above. And he is really here to help you see what is next within your business, to help you see the bigger picture and where you're going. I know so many of you are working towards Elite this year, and most of you have it either in the bag or you're very, very close, or you are trying to come up with a game plan to end strong in 2015. So Doug Moss here is going to help you with exactly that. So without further ado, here is Doug, my boss, Senior Director in the West region.
All right, I feel so official. Hey guys, how are we today?
So good.
These guys I know all these guys, or at least I know most of you. Who don't I know? Kelly, how's your husband doing? I saw you hit a home run and hit the camera, man. That was kind of cool. If you don't know, Kelly Jimenez, his husband Chris, plays for the Texas Rangers, and he's been on like this. I mean, he was like AAA for a while. Then they brought him up into the big leagues. Now he's hitting home runs every time he gets up to bat. So it's been cool. Yeah. All right, guys. So Brittany brought up to me that she wanted me to come on this call. And I kind of feel like, I mean, I know you guys. Like, this isn't like Doug, like whatever. Like, you know, I mean, I feel like you guys are leaders that are certainly already very well accomplished in the business. And it's not – what do I say? I mean, you guys are, you know how to do this, right? I mean, I'm looking at Anna Gray. I mean, Anna Gray, I have stories with Anna from when I started. Like my first Super Saturday was with Anna Gray. And she was like a 2-star trying to get to Elite. And it was crazy. And there was she just, you know, in the beginning, there was no way to do it. And then she just killed it and she did it. So what I would tell you guys is, this is an incredible business, and I think you all know it. And what's crazy is it's no different than what you guys have already done to get where you are. And, you know, I've been having – this weekend I was at a diamond retreat in Bend, Oregon. I was out there with Jessica Vandenberg and Tanya Landis and their team. And it was a great retreat. And it was one of those where – I spent some time talking. Mike Ryan went the next day. Mike spent, you know, Saturday night with him. I was with him all night Friday night. And there were 40 diamonds there. And it was one of those things where, you know, you give your presentation and you walk through kind of what it is or what coaches ought to be doing to build the business. And what's interesting is every time I get up to talk about it, it always kind of comes back to the same things. I mean, I know that it oversimplifies it, and I know that it, I don't want to make it sound easy because I know it's not easy. And I know, you know, a lot of you have had great fast-moving businesses, and then you kind of get to the lull, and then you struggle for a while, and you're trying to get it going again. And I know that's how this business kind of cycles. But you got to know that to be a leader in Beachbody, you have to be able to get through the downtimes. I mean, this is a fast-moving business, and your business will grow and can grow. And when you jump on momentum, it can take you as far as you want to take it. But you got to understand as well, it might not always be running that fast, okay? So you have to be able to stay true to the basics. And I'll tell you, I mean, I meet with, you know, as you guys know, I mean, I meet with, you know, many of the top coaches. If you don't know, in the West region right now, we have 6 of the top 10, and we have 12 of the top 20. And so when you sit down with these ladies, it's incredible to hear how they build the business, what are they doing that's different. And hopefully you guys are taking the opportunity to watch the best of the best in the West, you know, Zoom calls that we've been doing, because those calls really have been structured in such a way that I'm trying to get out of them exactly what they do. And I'm trying to interview them. You know, when we started, we had Amy do it, and she did a great job. You know, it was an hour call, you know, with a few questions at the end. But I kind of felt at the end of that call that, man, those questions were just getting good. And then we got to the next one, and when we got to the next call, with Anita Myron, it was like, okay, Anita, let's have you talk for 45 minutes, and then we'll do the Q&A. And again, I felt like the Q&A was like the best part of the call. And so then Megan Ewaldson came on, and I'm just like, screw it. Let's have her tell her story, and then let's have her talk about what she does, and then let's do the whole thing Q&A. And what I've liked about that format is nothing's off limits. You're struggling with something, ask the question. You're hitting a wall against, building diamonds. Let's find out what they do to build diamonds. And so I really love the format of this call. We're going to do it again this week. I'm having to tweak the order because I've got some coaches out of town, so I haven't announced who it is yet. But as soon as I get it, I'll get it posted hopefully later today. But anyway, so the best of the best in the West call, you want to watch them. I'll tell you that a couple of the takeaways, guys, from that call for me is that none of them are the same. Well, I love how different they are. I love that, you get, I can't remember, I think it was Anita Myron says, oh, I do my challenge groups in one big challenge group, and as they come on board, they go into this challenge group that's like 600 people. And then you talk to Megan Ewaldson, and hers is like, I used to do this crazy thing where I had 600 people in there, and I hated it. Now I broke them into small little challenge groups. And it's like, it's awesome to see how unique these ladies are and how they approach this business. But I'll tell you this too. I mean, we got to be careful that those guys are not the norm, right? And understand that I know that even when you get up to where you're an Amy Silverman, there's people who seek you out for you to be their coach, right? So the goal isn't necessarily to be in the top 10. The goal is to be an elite coach. And I really want that to dial in with everybody, that, I'm certainly not doing those calls to have you guys say, yeah, well, I'm not Amy Silverman. I'm not Anita Myron. I'm never going to be. Dude, that's not what the goal is. The goal of these calls is to give you what it is they do at enough of a level where you can go in and take nuggets out of those calls and figure out how to improve your recruiting and the way you do social media and the way you approach things. I'll tell you, this last one with Raina Odell. So I don't know Raina that well. She just moved to San Diego, and she's ranked number 8. And it just so happened that we had come through the top 10, and we were at Raina Odell at the week that she moved in. And so I said, man, let's have you do the call. What I loved about Raina was 2 things I took away from Raina's call was, number one is that she's always learning. I mean, I love the idea that she's always making adjustments, and her whole business from the beginning has always been built that way. How do I always make tweaks and adjustments to continue to move forward? And then the second one was, which I think is, brilliant, but everyone knows it, is she never takes her foot off the gas of recruiting. I mean, recruiting is the lifeblood of this business, and the more that you understand that, and the more that you can maintain your, again, foot on the gas into recruiting, that's how you're going to build a successful business with Beachbody. As you guys know, we're going into the end of the year. You guys have got your elite points. You know how to calculate them. If you don't, by all means, message me, message Brittany. We'll go through them one at a time with you just to make sure that you're dialed in on exactly what you need to do to be elite this year. I also want you to understand that you need to be positioning your coaches right now for next year. If you've got coaches that are diamond and 1-star and 2-star, wherever they're at in the mix, I would have Zoom calls, team calls right now and be talking about, guys, if you're not going to be elite this year, let's make a plan to get you there next year, because you've got to start right now with that, because if you've got to be recruiting coaches, because your SC category is based on, next year it'll be based on 2015 and 2016 coaches. So you've got to be recruiting so that you have a team of people going into 2016 that will help you with your Success Club category, okay? You want to start the year with a minimum of 3 personally sponsored coaches hitting Success Club. And whatever that looks like for these new up-and-coming coaches, now's the time to strategically be thinking of how to make that happen between now and the first of the year, okay? So I mean, understand that if you don't start talking about it now, and in January you start talking about them making a lead in 2016, that's fine, except for the fact that they will have missed the opportunity to really drive the personal recruitments at the end of this year. Because I don't want people to think, oh, I need to sandbag them till the first of next year. I need to sit back and wait. because you just can't do that. You've got to have people in the game so that come into the first of the year, you've got people hitting Success Club. So, please, start thinking about it. You guys are headed towards Elite this year, and then getting your people to start focusing on how to get them to Elite next year. Brittany brought up this idea of, building income and what do you do to build income. Guys, the concept of income to me is really, it does go back to these same basic activities of, everybody's focused on getting to Star Diamond. Everybody's focused on, what does my elite numbers look like? Am I doing the right activities to build this business? And as you guys know, guys, there's only 3 activities you have to do to build a Beachbody business. The first one is, I got to hit Success Club. The second one is, I have to sign coaches. And the third one is, I've got to get those coaches to hit Success Club. I mean, those are the 3 things that if you do, it doesn't matter if you're Amy Silverman, Monica Ward, I don't care who you are, those are the same 3 activities. You can be a brand new coach or you can be a founder. It's still the same 3 things that you're focused on. And those same 3 activities are the things that get you to Elite, because you got to be hitting Success Club, so you're doubling your Success Club points. You got to be signing coaches, so they're building your PSPV, and you have coaches in your arsenal for them to hit Success Club. And then the better you get at getting your personally sponsored coaches to hit Success Club, again, the more volume is going to be driven down within your organization. So I know that, I know that makes it sound oversimplified, but I want you to understand that take what I'm talking about and now apply it to the best of the West calls, and try and take the nuggets out of those guys of what it is they're doing to be able to help you guys get better at what you're doing, okay? Because that's the secret to the best of the best, is we're not trying to put them out there as any better than you guys or anything. I just want you to understand they all do it different. They all are having success doing what they're doing, and it's amazing to dive into their businesses and hear one coach talk all about how they use the bat form, and another coach be like, yeah, I don't use it at all. And another one saying, oh, I do Coach Basics every month. Somebody else is like, yeah, I never do Coach Basics. And one is, I love how unique they are and how we set that up where they've really been able to, build these businesses, but it isn't the same thing. It's never the same between any of these top coaches. So I'll put that out there. You guys are incredible at what you do. And I will. I mean, I know someone's wanting to ask questions. By all means, let's talk for a few minutes. What do you want to know? What questions do you have? And you can just unmute yourselves and ask. I didn't mute anything.
Hey, Doug, I wrote a question in there. I wanted to know if you have a good way of tracking your own, like obviously the first category for Elite is pretty easy to track. It's like they hit it, you double it, whatever. And the ATV I can kind of look at and project. But like in the PSPV category, like what's a good, like I was kind of like trying, because my numbers are like, okay, they're not amazing. So I've really got to bust a move the next couple of months. And so I'm looking at like, okay, do I take all the new coaches from 2015, add up at the bare minimum their 90 PV for Shakeology? Like, is that a good way to kind of project? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. So the way that we did PSPV on the Elite Goal Guide is we made an assumption that you were going for Elite at the beginning of the year. And if you were, then what we said is if you enroll 3 coaches a month and you're running a challenge group, combined, those people should produce around 500 team volume, okay? If in January you got 1 point in that category, our objective would be that you increase that every month by 500. Let's say if you recruited 3 in January, you got 500. You recruit 3 more in February. In February, now you get 1,000. So every month you're incrementally increasing that by 500, okay? So what I do is when I'm meeting with somebody, I set a benchmark based upon the month we're at in the year. So if I take through July, I would take January, February, March, and April. So that's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. That's 10 points. And then I take May and June. There's another 11. So now I'm at 21 plus the 7 that I would have to have for July. I'm at 28. So the benchmark to be at for the end of July would be around 28 points. Now, mind you, if you continue on that path, you're actually going to have more. I think you'll have 78, but it gets you to your 61. And so that's how we've kind of designed it, you know, and then, you know, each one of your guys' points for a lead are unique depending on what's going to happen with your ATV. But if you're only going to hit the minimum of 13 points in ATV, then you've got to figure out how you're going to cap it.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, and I guess it was just, you know, if I add, you know, if you add 3 coaches, it's not always 500 because they get a challenge pack, it's like 105. And then, you know, I had a few people that are inactive. And so I was just, because I'm kind of right at the brink, I think I had at the end of July, I had 28, like exactly. So it's like, okay, when is that going to kind of compound and come together like in my favor? But I know I still need to recruit like a maniac just to get it out of the way so that category is kind of taken care of.
Yeah, it is all about recruiting, and the earlier in the year you recruit, the longer they count. So that's why, again, when we go back and start talking about your PS coaches and getting them to elite next year, guys, they have to recruit in January, February, and March, because that starts their year out creating the volume for PSPV. Now, for you, where you sit this month, I mean, if you're at 28 points through the end of July, understand that, you know, you may want to put a focused attack on all the PS coaches you've sponsored this year, and maybe you're running challenge groups specifically for them with their attention in there so that they're bringing their, you know, whoever they can bring to that kitty, because you know those are the ones that are counting for you. So I would, you know, it becomes now a more strategic thinking on, wait, these ones count. How do I treat them a little bit differently to get a different result?
Mm-hmm. Amen. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. All right, other questions? Oh, come on. Rachel, you're killing it. What are your questions? Or why don't we just have Rachel train us on what she's doing?
You have 3 on there, so Harshfield.
Oh, Rachel Harshfield. Sorry, is there a bunch of Rachel? There are Rachel.
Hi, Doug.
I was looking at the Rachel that I met at Stephanie Davies' retreat.
I just came off mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, so I guess I do have a couple of questions. I do have a couple of coaches who they're struggling because they're either on a leg that isn't giving them enough team volume on one side, so they're getting a little frustrated with trying to create the ATV or their volume. Does that have, I mean, like, how does that work? How does the volume on their team leg and their weak leg? I always get so confused about that. Like, I don't know how to properly explain that to my coaches.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're kind of bringing up 2 issues, but the advancement team volume is the volume that's generated in your first 3 generations. And so it's honestly, it's one of those that I can't see it monthly. If someone calls me and says, where am I at? I can't see it until the elite reports come out. So it's a hard one to track. The other issue you're bringing up is the concept of being placed, you know, where I'm getting volume from somebody else. Guys, I hear that all the time, and I got to tell you, there are a lot of people in this organization that have huge volume that still don't grow the business. So it isn't like if I had the volume, I would do more, or if I didn't have the volume, I would do less. I mean, people have got to understand that it is what it is, and they just got to be willing to do the work. And if they're going to be the ones that are complaining about it, it's just a tough, and think about it this way too. I can put you in a spot and tell you that that's going to be a power leg and it's going to blow up, and then it doesn't. And you know what I mean? It's like I'm not positive what's going to happen. Or I can put one coach underneath you and it turns out to be, Anna Gray, and it blows up. So I don't know who's going to be put where and how this is going to happen. So I'm just telling you that, people have, it's a tough conversation because as they get into the business, they're like, now, wait a minute. I've just learned that you should have placed me on your strong leg.
Yeah.
I can't place everybody on mine. It just doesn't work that way.
And it's hard too, because you don't know. Like, you can have a coach that comes out, and I mean, I have several coaches who came out and were like, I want to be a discount coach only. Just put me on your discount leg. I don't want to do the business. And I have 3 diamonds on that side now. It's like, because they came out saying, I just want to be a discount coach, and they're killing it. So, it's hard. It's really hard. And then I feel bad because I may have what one coach may think as like, a slight to them, it's really not. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Well, I mean, Anna, you can chime in. Anna was a discount coach for what, 2.5 years before you went elite? I mean, nobody knows.
Yeah, I was definitely a discount coach, and I was put in. I'm in a total inside leg. I've had 2 people placed in my downline in 6 years, and I worked with those 2 people, thankfully, and they've built great businesses. But literally 2 people. So I just hit 900 people in my downline now. So, I mean, it's been 6 years, but yeah, I was a total discount coach, and I hit elite 4 years into the business. So
yeah,
you just never know.
And I think people have to understand that building this business is about consistency. It's about doing the basics and, hitting Success Club, signing coaches and getting them to hit Success Club. I mean, that is the formula to build this business. Now, I oversimplify those 3 things because, certainly hitting Success Club, you guys can do that. Signing coaches, well, how do you sign the right coaches? How do you sign enough coaches? I mean, there's a lot that goes into recruiting and how you recruit. And then, getting your personally sponsored coaches to hit Success Club, guys, I understand that's a complicated thing. I will tell you, my takeaway from the best of the best calls, Megan Ewaldson said one where she says she's dialed it in now to the point where she sets the expectation of hitting Success Club in the recruiting process or in her sneak peek so that when they become a coach, you don't take them and put them in training at that point. You take them and put them into a plan to hit Success Club. I've told some of you this. I met with her back in April. In April, at one point in the month, we were just getting to the end of the month, and she signed 33 coaches in the month of April. Okay, that's a lot. I'm not telling you got to sign 33 coaches. But the takeaway from her was we were counting how many personally sponsored coaches she had hit Success Club. And that month she had 37 hit Success Club, which was, again, crazy number. Where the power lied is I asked the question, okay, so what I want to know is of the 33 coaches you signed in the month of April, how many of them hit Success Club in April? Guys, the answer was 10. And I'm sorry, but if you're 1 in 3, that's outstanding. So, think about it. If you sign 3 to 6 coaches a month, are you able to get 1 to 2 of them to hit Success Club that first month? Right? Is there a way that you can tweak what you're saying? Try something different. There's so many times when I'll meet with people and I swear they do the same thing over and over again, and it's just all I recruit is discount coaches, all I recruit. Well, have you tried to be more aggressive with your recruiting process? Have you tried to say, this is what your expectation would be? This is what I would hope you would do. And if you scare someone away, go, oh, fuck, don't do that. Let's do something else. Or, man, that worked. Like you got to be able to try things to see what difference it makes in your recruiting process. And I think that's kind of what Raina Odell talked about is she was like, Doug, I'm trial and error all day. Like I put out when I'm messaging people back and forth, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be really aggressive with this one and say, this is the expectation. I hope you would have to do this and this to be a coach on my team. And they come back and say, yes, I want it. And it's like, sweet, and then she's off and running with them. But then she's like, oh crap, I can't believe that worked, and I think sometimes you guys have got to be willing to just try it. And if you scare one away, go, oh crap, I shouldn't have done. Okay, not so aggressive. Let's tone it down on the next one and see. But just don't get in the habit of doing the same thing over and over again. You've got to be able to make adjustments to get better. Because I'm telling you that when I talk to these top coaches, again, I'm not comparing you guys to them. I'm just trying to make sure you understand. If they can sign 33, you guys should be able to sign 5, 6. Those numbers are you're capable of doing those. And I know most of you do that. But how do you now take it to the next step and get those coaches to hit Success Club? How can you tweak what you're doing to get a different result? How do you go in and do a little bit of a different training or a little bit of a different, in your sneak peek or in your challenge group? How can you adjust what you're saying to see if you can't get, more of them to hit Success Club sooner instead of, plugging them into a training as soon as they become a coach? Think about it this way. If I said, hey, I'm going to join today, I want to buy a challenge pack, I'm interested, I paid $150 and I'm in. I've got all this excitement and all this momentum behind what I'm thinking I'm joining. And then you immediately plug me into some training and I got to disappear for 10 days to go find out what it is to be a coach. And by the end of the 10 days, I'm like, dude, this sucks. I hate it. I don't want to do this. As opposed to that first day saying to me, Doug, we need to get you to Emerald. You got to hit Success Club. I never want you to pay for your Shakeology again. You know, who do you know that needs to be in a challenge group with you? Well, I got my mom and my sister. Well, let's talk to them and let's kick you off. You know, anyway, I'm just trying to think in your head how you can make adjustments to what you guys are already doing.
Can I say something,
Yeah.
Doug? Yeah. I love that you said that because that's how I've fumbled through this. Is just tweak, be more aggressive than the last time. Hope that they don't unfriend me, which happens.
Sure.
But then the ones that do stick are the ones that are actually finally hitting Success Club early. But I want to share something that I just started doing that is, each time kind of raising the bar. And I think that it is. And I'm changing my recognition. Rather than throwing everybody up on the board that hits a certain number, I'm taking the top 5 people, and then I'm taking the top 5 2015 coaches and recognizing them for volume. So it's only the top 5, but I'm also recognizing those new coaches that are in my downline that are doing stuff. So they're raising the bar, and those other new coaches are seeing that. And it's just more of that, this is, non-negotiable, and I want to be up on that board. And I just started, so it's possible. Rather than having to compete with the top 5 that have been coaches for 6 years, there's still a category for them to raise the bar and to be on that list. So I'm constantly tweaking things like that.
Well,
Anna, when you say top coach, do you mean do you pull from personal volume, just the top volume?
So here's the thing, those 2 coaches that were placed in my downline, they have a big team and they're very active in my group, but they don't show up in my report and I don't get to recognize them, and they do pull volume for me. I mean, so it's a little bit manual where in fact, that's kind of what I was doing on the side here. Just taking right and left leg and pulling at the top, and it's pretty easy to find those 2015 coaches because they're at the bottom of the list, and pulling them out because they wouldn't normally show up on my report, and just setting 5 aside that were the top volume, and then 5 aside that were the top 2015 volume. And I created a pick monkey with their 10 faces. And the first time I posted that thing, it went over so well. And then now on my team calls, I'm telling them I'm raising the bar. Every time every quarter we raise the bar. First it was just talking about Success Club, and then it was talking about Success Club early, and now it's, being a successful 2015 coach. And so I've seen changes in my own new coaches hitting Success Club out of their first month, and I've always had a problem with that. So, I mean, I don't have a ton, but if you say 1 in 3, I think I qualify for that. But it is, it's setting that bar to where it's still realistic, but I'm always tweaking.
Well, Anna, let me say this. I love what you're saying, because one of the things that I've found, guys, that I think new diamonds and even lots of leaders where they make another mistake is in the idea that if I'm a diamond and I have 10 coaches underneath me, and I take, of the 10, I've got 8 of them in Coach Basics. I think sometimes we spend too much time trying to bring all of them forward at the same day, instead of figuring out who my race was. That's fine. All right, now you guys, you have to unmute yourselves when you want to talk, but for now it's just me. So my point is, they get so focused on trying to bring everybody forward at the same pace, and it's never going to happen. Instead of identifying who your runners are and then running with them, right? Meaning that you know who the guys are that are putting in the effort, putting your time into those people specifically, as opposed to always trying to bring the whole team forward. And I think, Anna, what you're accomplishing is you're recognizing your racehorses, right? You're recognizing the runners, and that's giving you momentum within those guys. And everyone else is going, oh, wait, I want to be one of those, which is awesome.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity for me to
forward. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. And I don't even know half of these people because they're 2015 coaches that are not necessarily mine, but they're in my downline and they don't necessarily get recognized because their coach is new. And if I were to throw the whole leaderboard up there, they'd be just a name on the board. So yeah, that's exactly a way. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's exactly what it is I'm working with the runners because they're being recognized.
Well, and the more you do it, the more it'll elevate everybody. But I think that, especially new diamonds, guys, I'll do it all the time. Like, what do you got? What are you doing? Oh, I've got a great team. I've got like 8 people that are working. They're all in my coach basics. And it's always one of those like, that's great, but which one's going to be your next diamond? Oh, no, I think they're all going to do it. Well, let me help you. They're not. Okay, so then how do we identify who the runners are? Because that's the secret to this. And going back to Raina Odell, guys, this is a game of recruiting. At this retreat, I met with a couple of diamonds who were like, oh, man, I got this lady. She's going to kill it. I think she's going to go diamond in 15 days. Like, she's on track. And, she's already recruited like 8 coaches and got one of her emeralds. And it's like crazy. And my response to her was, dude, that's fantastic. I mean, that's amazing. What do you do if that lady quits? And it's like, what do you mean? No. It's like, well, I want to make sure that you're continuously recruiting and you're just not, like, you didn't just get on the back of her horse and you're just going to ride it. Like, that's not how this works. You got to be continuously recruiting and bringing others into the game so that they're watching her. And that's how this whole thing builds. You can't just ride with her. You've got to stay true to the activities that continuously bring coaches into your network. Because if you don't, that's where you'll feel the hiccups. I've talked to coaches that they're like, man, this is a tough month for me and I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, well, what did you do last month? Well, yeah, last month was not too bad, but man, I was on vacation for 3 weeks last month. I'm like, well, that's why this month is hard. Like, guys, you got to understand as well that this is a cyclical business. You put your foot on the gas in July, you're going to fill it in August, maybe not in July. But if you take your foot off the gas in August, you're going to fill it in September and October. So this is a business that kind of trends based on where you push and what you're doing. And so you guys have got to be, that's where Raina Odell was so key. And I never take my foot off the gas. I'm always keeping the pressure on recruiting so that I never lose sight of bringing new people in. All right, what other questions have you guys got?
Hey, Doug, I have something that I could share that might help as everyone's pushing to elite.
Sure.
So when I was at 2-star in May, and I knew that the cutoff to, there was a 5-star cutoff there at the end of May, I think it was like May 26th. I pulled my 3 coaches aside, and I said, okay, hey, listen, like, they were maybe emerald with 2 other coaches. One of them was, maybe had 3 coaches. So they were nowhere near diamond, but instead of running like a push to diamond group where you have this big, huge group of coaches, and so many times those coaches get lost and you're looking for the leaders, instead of looking for leaders, I created 3 leaders. And I basically took 3 coaches that didn't even have diamond on their scope. And I said, let's push to diamond. So I put them in a small little group. It was like just an intimate group of messaging and giving them things to post, like telling them, okay, here's what I want you to do today. So instead of like looking at a big group of 50 coaches and trying to get 1 or 2 diamonds out of there, I took a small group of 3 and said, let's go to diamond in 2 weeks. And they did. And now one of them is a 1-star diamond. Actually, 2 of them are 1-star diamonds. And, one of the coaches has got like 2 or 3 coaches that are now coming into wanting to work the business. So for me, it was just really effective because I was able to utilize my leadership skills with them more exclusively. And I knew at the end that if I pushed them and I gave them the tools that they needed, that they would be able to take those tools back because they were something that was just identified for them and was able to replicate. They were easily able to replicate it because I was just dealing with 3 instead of 50.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think you bring up a good point in where you put your time is where you're going to get the result. And I think a lot of times as leaders, we end up putting, it's amazing how many times I talk to, Raina Odell was a good example on that call where she's like, oh yeah, I don't talk to anybody. Like I'm all about Messenger and, the recorded voice on Messenger and things like that, which is great. But guys, okay, let me say this. If you're not in the top 10, recruiting 30 and these crazy numbers, where you guys are at, you need to be making phone calls. You need to be building relationships with these people and helping them accomplish, this idea of partnering with them to help them reach a goal is key to this. And I agree, Rachel, that idea of putting time into somebody and then you really saying, I think you can do it and I'm going to help you do it because I think that's who you are, is very powerful. I mean, there's lots of examples of leaders that, were all about Messenger and, then they had a great, they were phenomenal at building emeralds, but they could never build diamonds. And until they were willing to just pick up the phone and talk to somebody and build a relationship, the people weren't really going to go any further. Like they could get to emerald. They could buy into the vision of getting their Shakeology covered and getting a couple of coaches under them. But to really kind of help them understand diamond and star diamond and what that looks like, they've got to have some touch point with you. And so, I know a lot of people, it's amazing how many introverts are successful at Beachbody. People who just don't want to talk to anybody, and yet they're successful because of social media. But I think you've still got to be willing to make those, 3 to 5 phone calls a day to the right people and give them and help them build the confidence they need to build this business. Because without it, a lot of them will never do it. But if you put the time into them, I'm telling you, like Rachel's saying, it works.
It does. It does. And all 3 of them went diamond in 2.5 weeks. It was crazy. So I went from 2 to 5 and then it's like not just getting to diamond, but okay, you're at diamond. Now what? Like you don't stop. And I tell that to my coaches all the time. You don't stop here. This is just the beginning. Like now you're a leader. Now you have this team and now it's your turn to take what you've learned in these last few months getting to diamond and just pour it back into your team. And it's worked for my team. It's worked for my business. So I don't know if that will help anybody, but it definitely.
I would even tell you that that's a huge advantage to have diamonds that have done it that fast because, Rachel, they need to tell their story with every single person they recruit. What I mean by that is they need to be saying, hey, if I'm their new coach, they need to say to me, Doug, we're excited to have you on the team. This is exciting. Well, just so you know, it may not mean a lot to you, but there's a rank in the company called Diamond. I'm going to work with you to get there. Just so I went there in 2.5 weeks, and I think you're better than I am. We'll see what happens. Dude, if they fail and go in 30 days, you're still killing it, right? But they need to tell their story of how fast they did it every time they talk because that is a powerful motivator to new coaches that are coming in because most people will look at their enroller and do what they did or they'll want to do what they did. And that's, I know everyone doesn't have that story, but, Brandy Botts is one that has that story where she went diamond in 28 days. Dude, she creates diamonds in 45 days often because she tells her story of going diamond in 28 and then they don't get there in 28, but they get there in 45. And I think sometimes we set the expectation that, hey, I'm a new coach. I want to hit diamond. What do I got to do? And we're like, we can get you there by the end of the year. And it's like, wait, why would we, tell them that that's how long it's going to take? People can do it faster if you'll help them build the confidence to be able to do it.
Yep.
All right, what do we got? We got messages about Doug.
You have about 7 minutes, sir.
Oh, Breezy. I'm like, what? So, Breezy, yeah, how many are you talking to? Can we not hear Breezy? She's one of these.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So after our little conversation at Market Council, we talked about the phone call thing. I took you up on it, and I started not only using it to reach out to my coaches, getting them on the phone more, but I also started using it more in my recruiting. And I don't know, I think it's probably because, I was recruited via social media, so it was like one of those things where I guess getting on the phone was like foreign, but I don't know, it's been good for me because I'm an introvert, so it's helped me stretch myself, but my coaches have been responding well. It's helped me make connections right off the bat with my new recruits this last little bit. So anyway, I'm glad that you mentioned that because it really has been helpful.
Well, Natalie brings up the question of what do you talk about when you call these guys? And I'm telling you, Natalie, it can be, I mean, it should be their kids, their life, their spouse. It's all the get to know you stuff that you guys form them anyway, right? But with the idea that you're building this, hopefully, let's just say you don't talk to anybody. Then go into your downline right now and identify the ones that hit Success Club that deserve your time and call them. And dude, I would celebrate with them, number one. I would be like, dude, I just saw your numbers. You're doing a great job. I thought I would reach out. It's impressive to see what you're doing with the business, blah, blah, blah. Tell me what you're doing. Keep in mind, people love to talk, right? The more you ask questions to get them talking, you're going to come across as a great conversationalist, right? Like the better you can get them talking about themselves, they love it. And you're building them up all the way through it. And then you should always, the next question should be, okay, so where are you going to go from here? Because I think you can go further, and I really think I want to partner with you to help you do that. And now, bam, you're off and running. So to me, just really, be genuine. You want to know who they are. These are your builders. Spend the time to get to know them. And then, the calls, anyway, when I get calls, it's always about celebrating what people do, setting the goals, following up on previous goals, and then celebrating again. Because, dude, whatever it is they've done is awesome. And you need to be able to go into that and celebrate what it is they're accomplishing. So it isn't, think about it. How many times do you get on the phone and talk to the people that are at 4 Success Club points and it's the 29th of the month and you're trying to get them to finish it? Like, sure, that's a powerful call and maybe it'll get them to sell that last challenge pack to hit Success Club. But guys, it's more powerful for you to call the one who did 15 Success Club points and say, holy cow, what are you doing? What's working? And man, I want to work with you to take it further. Like that's a call that you guys need to be making. So these people really feel that what they're doing is, powerful, because it is. Is there any more questions? What do we got? Yeah, anyway, calling, it's interesting. I mean, I've dealt with coaches, guys, who are phenomenal at making emeralds. Yeah, there's some drilling going on here. I don't know what that is. Brittany. Sorry, guys. Brittany's in the room. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, guys? Uh-oh. They know everything now. They finally got it.
Okay, I actually have a really quick question.
Okay, for sure.
Sorry, everyone's probably like, rats, someone asked a question. Really quickly, because you've been to retreats and I'm in the process of planning my first diamond retreat.
Awesome.
For February, but any kind of tips or suggestions that you have for those of us who have never done it before are really appreciated.
Yeah. No, diamond retreats are actually pretty incredible tools. Most leaders do it as a do some form of qualification going into it, so you get a kind of a return on your investment. You don't just want to pay for your diamonds to come and do a retreat. You also want to say, okay, you're diamond or above and you've hit Success Club the 4 months leading into it, or you're diamond and above. So come up with some kind of qualification that gets them into the retreat. Okay, that's number one. Number two is, I think the most powerful retreats are the ones where they spend most of their time together, right? So it isn't like you meet in, Bend, Oregon, and then you go sightseeing together. Like, that isn't the objective. The objective is, how do you get together in a facility and spend time together for 2 or 3 days and really help them understand what it is to build a business, how it can make an impact on their life, and then building the team camaraderie and also helping them create relationships with other coaches. At this retreat I was just at, I think that it was kind of it kind of shook them up a bit, because I made the comment, like, guys, you've got to get to know everybody in this room. Because what you don't understand is, for the next 20 years, as Beachbody continues to grow, these are people that you're going to see at summits, you're going to see at leadership, you're going to see at Success Club trips. So you want to get to know the people around you, because if you're a Beachbody, you're going to be here for a long time, and you might as well get to where you have lots of friends within the network. So use that as an opportunity. Now, as far as actual logistics of it, we've had a lot, and I get made fun of because I get a lot of the leaders to do their retreats here in Utah. If you do it here in Utah, and the only reason it's a Delta hub, so it's cheaper flights in and out. Houses are cheap here because you can there's big homes that aren't that much money to rent. I have Anita Myron's doing hers here. Lindsay Weiss does hers here. Brigida Linford does hers here. Lori Stewart does hers here. The other thing you get is, and it gets planned, but you get Jeff Hill for an afternoon. You end up with myself or Jeremy Redd or Kim Carver or Arnold Nakaha. Like, we've got the team here, and you can come through and, spend time in our office here in Utah. Santa Monica is great, but it's just so expensive to do things down there. If you aren't doing them here and you're doing them wherever your hometown is, because that's where most of your diamonds are, makes total sense. I would tell you that, let us know. If we can make it work, we'll try and get Brittany or myself there. We can come out to them. It just depends on when they are and how it works with timing. I would certainly check, corporate calendars. We had coaches who planned it over top of the New Leader Conference last year. We've heard of one this year that's planned over top of Super Saturday. So you gotta just be aware that, understand what else you're competing up against. But, the objective to me is, don't spend a ton of time cooking. They tend to cater everything. And then really it's get to a facility, stay there. This one that we were just at in Bend, it really wasn't in Bend. It was out in the middle of nowhere at some fancy golf resort. And there were 40 diamonds there in 5 condos. Each condo had 8 people in it. And it was unbelievable as far as setup. They even, it was Jessie Vandenberg. She actually foot the bill and paid for Autumn to come in. And, Autumn came in and spent all day Saturday with her coaches. So, there are special things you can do. But to get Autumn, if you don't know, it's $7,500 for any of the celebrity trainers. But they can also say no. But Autumn on this one came and spent the whole day with them, and it was fantastic. So, there's just lots to think about. Most of it ought to be, depending on where you're at, you can also reach out to myself and Brittany. If you're in the Portland area, we can get someone from Portland, another elite coach to come in. I can help you organize that. If you're in LA, I mean, it just depends on where you're doing it. There may be people close by, like Mike Ryan he lives in Bend, so going out to this resort wasn't a big deal for him on a Saturday to go speak to this group for 60 minutes, but it's not his team, but he's more than willing to do it. So, I would just put it out there that, what do you want? When are you doing it? And, talk to Brittany or myself, and we can help you kind of dial it in. And a lot of them pair up too, by the way. So you partner with another, either same team or, different team. They pair up a lot just to cover the expenses that way. Anything
Thank
else? Was there anything else you wanted to know, Marion? Does that answer it?
I think that does. I mean, I think right now I'm just thinking of a last push for this last quarter for people to go diamond, and have a lot of my diamonds right now qualify for the New Leader Conference.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking in terms of timing, early February, that seems to be on the wall, what people are talking about. But I think that's great. I saw the pictures of you in Bend, and I was just thinking that's rather remote. So didn't know for locations if that would work. So
yeah. So where would you do it?
I was looking at either Scottsdale.
I mean, you do it in Arizona. You've got Stephanie Chico in the area. Brigida's down there. We got Lindsay Weiss, Andrea Crowder. I mean, you got great leaders down there that, somebody would probably be available and to make it work to come in. But
Right.
we can certainly help you with some of that as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, I'm going to let Brittany wrap it up, but dude, you guys have got to get to elite. You got to finish strong. If you're not going to finish it this year, it's okay. How do you then get next year dialed in so that you can do it? And not only you, but how do you get your personally sponsored coaches to do it? And they need to start now. If they're going to make a run at it next year, they got to start today. So, all right, with that, I'll say thank you, and we'll turn it over to Brett.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Doug. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for being involved and asking so many great questions. So fun having all 18 of you on. So I'm going to go ahead and post. Your phone is ringing,
Perfect
sir.
timing.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and post this into our group page. Basically, I'm just going to ask you 3 questions. So now, what is your vision, your goal for the end of the year? What are you going to do now? Just like what Doug said, if you felt like you had a horrible August, what did you do last month? So what are you going to do right now to create the momentum, the drive that's going to carry you through the end of the year? Next one is, what are you going to do differently today to create momentum and finish the year strong? So it kind of goes together with that first question. But what are you going to do to change things up, to really slingshot yourself forward, to help, move you in the right direction? And really, what are you going to take away from this call? So number 3 is, what was your biggest takeaway from this call? I wanted you guys to see a bigger vision of what it is to work with Doug. Because obviously you get me, but Doug is absolutely incredible as far as he's direct. He's to the point. He sees the bigger vision in your business. And he works with 6-star to 14, even the 15-star diamonds. So he knows what the best of the best in the West are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and post that in our group. Other than that, thank you so much for being involved today, and I will talk to many of you very soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome.